If you're using Klaviyo and your bill keeps on rising every month, then the chances are it's not just because you're growing, it's because you're not cleaning your email list. Now, Klaviyo is like a gym membership. It's very much worth the price if you're actively using it, but if you're not, then you're paying rent for a software that quite frankly you don't need. Now, the pricing can be confusing for a lot of people, and the reason for that is because you'll see your bill rising and you'll think that it's just a part of growth, but it's not always true. So what most people don't understand is that Klaviyo doesn't just charge you for activity, right? The number of emails that you're sending. It charges you for data. Now, what I mean by that is the number of profiles that you've got inside of your account. So every single phone number, every single email address that you've added into your account, you're paying for that quietly, whether you know it or not, including the ones who don't engage with any of the content that you send. All of this quietly drives up your bill, and this is why it's so important to clean that email list so that you get rid of the dead weight and don't pay for them. So today I'm going to break down exactly how Klaviyo's pricing works, as well as what affects your costs and how to keep it lean so that you don't lose reach, but you also don't pay hand over fist. Alright then, so how Klaviyo's pricing actually works. Now, as I mentioned, you build based on the profiles that you've got, not just the sends. Now, it can be either or. So if you start sending above your allotted send limit, then Klaviyo's going to charge you more. If you go above the limit that you've paid for profiles as well, Klaviyo's going to charge you more. So every person in your system, doesn't matter whether they're active or not, every person who adds to your email or your SMS list, Klaviyo is charging you for those people. Now, you don't get charged for email and SMS, you get charged per profile. So if you've got a person whose email you've got and an SMS you've got, that's one profile that you're paying for, but you build individually based on the emails and the SMSs that you send. I know this probably isn't making sense, but don't worry, we're going to go into it in more detail and you'll get it by the end of this video. So the pricing tier is based on how many total profiles you have, first of all. So let's say you've got 9,300 contacts. You're in the 10,000 profile bracket, so you will pay for up to 10,000 profiles when you have 9,300. If you go above that 10,000 and you end up with 10,500, for example, you're automatically moved up to the next tier. Now, that's where list management gets expensive, because beyond that 10K mark is when they really start to ramp up their pricing versus their competition. I think competitors like OmniSend and whatever, and you can publicly check this, but I think they're maybe like 50 quid cheaper, I think, when you get about 10K, maybe a bit more, don't quote me. But as you start to grow with Klaviyo, the price is astronomically increased versus these other softwares that you've got. So that's where list management can get very expensive, because even a few thousand inactive profiles can just push you into a higher bracket, and then you're paying for something that you don't need. Now, if you're one of these founders who thinks that more subscribers means there's more potential, you're partially right, but at the same time, you're giving into scarcity bias, where you believe that if you delete those contacts, you're going to lose opportunity. And it's just wrong, because quite frankly, if a person is unengaged, and by the way, what that means is they've not opened or clicked an email in 90 days, that means that any revenue you're getting from your email and SMS channel, that person has not engaged with it once in 3 months. 3 months, they've not opened an email or an SMS, clicked an SMS, whatever. And so whatever you're sending to that person is doing literally nothing. And if you got rid of them and burned their email address and never contacted them again, it wouldn't make any difference to the revenue that you're generating. It's like hoarding dead leads in a CRM. So it makes your system heavy, it makes your deliverability worse as well, and it makes your costs go up. So the mind trick is that you'll feel safer with a big list and like you've got more opportunity, but realistically, it's just dragging you down. It's always better to build a smaller, more engaged list than have a massive bloated one that doesn't really care about you. So when does somebody actually become billable? Let's get this nailed down to a T then. This is where many people get caught off guard. So as I mentioned, you've got the profiles that you get charged for, and there's 2 different ways that people can join your profiles or your email list or whatever. Profiles, email list, it's basically the same thing, but there's 2 ways that people can get onto your email list and that Klaviyo will start charging you. So the first one is called explicit consent. So you've got explicit consent, and then the second one, you've got implicit consent. I'm going to do another video on this. This is a big tin of worms that I don't want to get into. Long story short, I know I say that a lot. People who actively subscribe via pop-up forms or checkout opt-ins or wherever, those people who've actively and unequivocally said, yes, you may contact me, those are explicit opt-ins. People who have done anything but that, where they've given their email during a checkout or support or something, or they didn't tick the box or whatever. There may be other sources I'm not aware of, but the people who've opted in via implicit consent have given you their email, but they haven't actively said, yes, you may market to me. And so both of these are billable profiles inside of Klaviyo. And even if they've never opted into marketing, they're still in your system, and Klaviyo is going to charge you for them. So that means that your list is likely infiltrated with a ton of people who've either never opened a campaign or never signed up to it, or just immediately mark you as spam or unsubscribe or whatever. So this is something that catches a lot of people off guard because it sounds like it's not legal, right? And in some degree, it's like I say, it's one of those gray areas that I don't want to get into right now. But like I say, you need to be aware of this because it will inflate your list with people who didn't explicitly opt into your list. So over time, this starts to cause like a profile creep situation where you've got just more and more people joining your list, and some people aren't receiving your emails, and it's just quietly eating into your profits and inflating your Klaviyo bill. So many brands end up paying thousands a month for this. In fact, I once audited an account that was doing about 20 million a year in revenue, and they were paying an extra 2K per month to Klaviyo, an extra $2,000 a month for nothing, literal nothing. Now, when you're doing 20 million, you might think it's a drop in the bucket, but if you want to give your EBITDA a little bit of a boost and you want to pocket an extra $24,000 every year, why wouldn't you? Then this is one way that you can quite simply do that. So this is an expensive mistake once you start to grow your business, so pay attention. Now, there's another problem associated with all this that is not related to costs, and it's related to your deliverability. So ESPs start to recognize when you're getting a lot of low engagement type emails. If you've got a big portion of people on your email list who are unengaged and so naturally are not opening or clicking any of your messages, then it's going to drag down your average open rates and your average click rates, which is going to tell an email service provider like Gmail or Outlook that you are, for whatever reason, contacting a lot of people who don't want to hear from you. And so that is how it affects your deliverability. That has then a knock-on effect because your deliverability comes down, and then your ability to contact the people who are engaged with your content and want to hear from you, the chances of you going into the spam folder or promotions or wherever increases, and so you're not able to get your message in front of people who actually want to hear from you. So this is why it's so important, not only to reduce your costs, but also to protect your email deliverability. How can you fix all of this then? What are the step-by-step tutorial? Let's do it now. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to clean your email list. And the way that you do that is go into your Klaviyo segments and create an unengaged email segment. So that's people who've not opened or clicked an email opened and clicked an email in the last 90 days. They've not done either of that. So those are the people on your list who are, quite frankly, unengaged. They're not seeing any of your email communications, and they're not impacting your email revenue whatsoever because they don't open anything that you send them. And so even if they are ordering, they're doing it on their own accord, whether it's from social media or just going direct to site or from subscriptions or something else like that. But the thing is, those people in that segment are not doing anything for your emails. Next thing to do is to run a sunset flow. So this is a 2 to 3 very short email sequence where you're reminding people of who you are. You're trying to get their attention. You're trying to get them to open, ideally to click, and very ideally to place an order from that flow. So this is another video which I will do, but if you need to check that out, I'll have something on my website, or I'll maybe link another video once it's done. But you want to identify those people who do engage with the sunset flow, and then they'll go back into your main email list and you can start contacting them again regularly. But for the people who don't engage with this sunset flow, then it's time to cull them. It's time to get rid of them from your list. So this is very much like a last chance opportunity for the people who've become unengaged to engage, and if they don't, then it's time to go. So once they've been through the sunset flow, you identify the people who've not engaged with any of the emails, and then you identify those people in a segment and you suppress them from your email list. Once you've suppressed them, you'll see that your total profiles will go down, and you want to go to your billing and manually change your bill to reduce your bill, because Klaviyo won't automatically reduce your bill ever. They'll only automatically make it go up because money. Now, this is a process you want to do every single month. Once you've got a sunset flow in place, this will run automatically in the background, and then it will put the people to the side who are unengaged so that you can manually each month suppress those contacts from your email list. So that should be a monthly process that you do. Just from doing that, you'll cut your bill from 10 to 20%, maybe monthly, maybe biannually, something like that. So it just stops it from inflating, basically. Keeps your costs lean, and any ROI you're getting from email will go up. I've got a quick analogy for you where you've got Klaviyo like a warehouse. So the bigger your inventory, the more it costs to maintain. Everybody knows that. Let's say you've got a budget for the warehouse that you've got. If half of the shelves are filled with products that nobody's buying, then you're wasting space and you're wasting money. So email lists work very much the same way, where it's not about how much or how many emails that you've got in the warehouse. It's about the quality of the emails that you've got. All right, so when is Klaviyo actually worth the cost then? Because I don't want this to be a hating video on Klaviyo. It's just the way that it works. Once you understand it and you know how to play the game, then you can play it, and you can play it successfully. So I use Klaviyo for all of my clients, and I still recommend it as the top e-commerce provider for email. But there is a time to ask, when is it actually worth the cost? So let's get into that. All right, so all of this begs the question, when is Klaviyo actually worth the cost? If you're just sending 1 or 2 emails per month, then Klaviyo is not for you, because Klaviyo isn't just a tool to send emails, right? If you want to just send 1 or 2 emails every month, then go and use MailChimp or something that is a lot cheaper to run, because unless you've got a real strategy in place, then Klaviyo is over expensive for you. You don't need to be paying for it. Klaviyo isn't an email sending tool, or it's not just that, it's a data aggregator as well, meaning you can connect so many different sources and create so many different types of custom sources of data and then put them all into people's individual profiles. So I've done videos before on question-based emails, for example, where we ask people, what is it that you're interested in? Are you interested in health-related stuff, for example? Is it fitness you want to do? Is it strength building? Is it weight loss? These are things that you can easily input into Klaviyo and connect them to people's profiles so that you can better segment people in the future. Not only that, then you can create custom triggers for those people when they take a certain action, when they view a certain product, when they place an order for something, when they've looked at something 3 times in the last 3 days, but they've opened 5 emails about it and they've not opened the other 3 emails that weren't about it. You can get so ridiculously granular. And I know you probably don't have a clue what I'm talking about right now, but it enables this kind of advanced segmentation and automation that other service providers simply cannot do. So in other words, you're not just paying for a tool to send emails out, you're paying for something that will actively grow your business, or at least increase your retention, because it's cleverer retention, right? It understands your customers way better than these other tools that are focused on blasting out emails to people, whereas Klaviyo will allow you to meet the customer where they are instead. Hopefully that gives you a better understanding of how these softwares work. It's not just a medium to put your message from A to B. It's a way of collecting as much information about this customer as possible and then reacting to that customer's actions or producing custom strategies based on the data that you gathered. You can't do that with other softwares. However, like any high performance tool where you've got all of these advanced features and smart things as part of the tool that you're getting, it's only going to deliver an ROI if you've got someone who actually knows how to use it, and that's where Surefire comes in. So I don't recommend using Klaviyo unless you're using Surefire Media. No, for real, I don't recommend that you use it if you don't know what the heck you're doing with it, right? If you're just trying to send a very simple email or 2 every month, don't use Klaviyo. You're going to absolutely lose money if you do that. However, if you want to make money, then you need to get somebody who knows how to use it, somebody who's experienced, somebody who has tried and tested different strategies, who knows email marketing, sure, but also somebody who knows the Klaviyo infrastructure and how you can benefit from it, because otherwise, if you're just paying for a software to blast out emails, then you're overpaying. All right, hopefully that's given you a good idea of what you're paying for here with Klaviyo, when you should actually be using it as well, and how to minimize your cost and maximize your ROI. There are a few more secrets that I could share, but I don't want to, because I like to keep some things close to my chest as well. If you want a proper audit of your Klaviyo account, if you want to know, are we paying too much? And if you want those additional secret source pieces as well, then you're going to have to book a call with me. Sorry about that. You're going to have to meet me in person. So not a sales pitch, not some lengthy presentation, just a very short chat to get to know each other, see if we'd be a good fit for working together. If so, I'd do an audit on your account. I'll tell you how much you're paying versus how much you could be paying versus how much ROI you're getting versus how much ROI you could be getting. If that sounds good, book a call below. Besides that, I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.